Hello. Good evening.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, people. Do turn your videos on so we can see you. We'd like this to be an interactive session. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So in honor of people who have shown up on time, we are going to start on time. And we will trust that the others who've registered but who aren't here are going to catch up on the recording. Hi, Sapna. Lovely to see you. Thank you for coming. And so I'll take all of you quickly through what we've planned for this evening. So Subba and I will be hosting this retreat together. And we'll start with, taking you through our own journey of reclaiming and owning our power and how we've done that. And we'll use that as a way for you to get to know each other as well. After that, Subba will guide us through meditation. And so this is going to be an active webinar. We're going to be doing stuff on the webinar. And then I will be leading a discussion on the reasons and the sources and causes, what keeps us from owning our power. After that, we'll be telling you a little about what we plan to do in terms of work in our upcoming retreat. And then we will open up this place for Q&A. So looking forward to active participation. Feel free to turn your videos on because at least I'm a very visual person. So I read people's faces. And this is a topic, as a lot of you will know, there's a lot, we're obviously not going to cover all of it. We never can in 1 hour. But at least the way it works for me when I'm facilitating is that when I can see people's faces, I get intuitions in terms of which parts to go deeper into and which parts to sort of not go deeper into. So do turn your videos on because that's going to work well. Yeah. So Subba, over to you. So
thank you, Ramya, and delighted to be with all of you. It is one of my, what shall I say, dreams to be present with women leaders. I have been on quite a few sessions in the past, and for me, this is a passion. It's so important for the future of humanity, I believe, and I've spoken about it a lot. I want to take a few minutes for many of you here who don't know me to get to know me better. Hi, Sampa. Lovely to see you. So let's just begin. Yeah. So my journey with, I would say, with awareness, with the case of self-awareness first, and about rediscovering myself started around in the year 2004, to be precise, during the time of the tsunami. So I went into a period of silence and solitude, and I came out to the understanding. Someone told me while you were away, there was a tsunami. And I wasn't in any retreat. I was just with myself in a room. And that began the journey of my self-discovery. And through that, it took me a decade to understand what I really wanted to do with the rest of my work and life. It took me that long to understand actually that there is a lot in the world that we believe technology will change, new economic frameworks will change, new businesses will alleviate or help us rise above, and all of them are true. However, one important element is frequently and repeatedly being missed, and that was my awareness, which is all of these technology systems and frameworks are created and run by humans. So if the humans who create, run, all of these are not assured in balance, feel that strength inside, and know why they are showing up in these spaces, we're going to see a multiplicity, a multiplier effect of imbalance. So that's when I gave up my corporate life after almost 3 decades to commit myself to working with people, what I call as self-leadership, but also self-awareness. Most of my work is focused on leaders, but a significant amongst them are young leaders. And in the recent past, I've started to work a lot with women leaders. In fact, 70% of my retreats participants are women. So I was very delighted to meet Ramya recently. And it was last year that we first met. And then earlier this year when we got together, we came upon in fact, the first few minutes that we spoke, we totally aligned synchronously that this is exactly what we wanted to do together. So I'm delighted to be working with her on this.
Thank you, Subba. Give me a minute to. Thank you so much, Subba. Is my screen visible? Somebody just give me a thumbs up. Yeah, okay. So this is my normal introduction slide, and I have a journey. I'm a bit of a nerd. You can see it from the slide. I went around collecting degrees, working in different places, getting trained, exploring, trying to understand the mind, trying to understand human potential, behavior, bringing it to life through my own journey with students, through education. And I continue to do that work. But I'm going to tell you something else about myself today, which is also going to be very key to this particular retreat and what we're looking at in terms of reclaiming power. So when I was 12 years old, I had a near-death experience in a fire accident in Stampede. Strangely, as a kid, I didn't even know it was supposed to be a bad thing. So this was one of the most blissful, peaceful experiences in my life. It was, in fact, I was in the ICU until, I couldn't find my parents, and it's a long story, but a great grand uncle was found until he came and saw me, and I saw the worried look on his face. That's sort of when I realized that, okay, something wrong or bad had happened. So that was my first direct, I would say, experience, and with an expansiveness of what today I believe is life itself. And when I say life, I say it is life outside, life within, life outside the body, life inside the body, life, like one total united fabric of life, which is full of compassion, full of love, full of peace, full of power. So I had this experience. I didn't have the words for it then. I was a kid. And I tried speaking to people about it, but I also had a head injury, so no one, people don't take kids seriously. That too, not a kid who's just had a head injury. So nobody took me seriously. So I sort of went to the other extreme, and I was like, what do these guys take seriously? They took marks seriously. They take academics seriously. So I said, okay, fine, I'll play your game your way. And I got into the books, the academics. I did not lose touch with the awareness and knowing that I had experienced, but slowly, it became overshadowed by the knowing and by logic and by understanding. And that explains a lot of my journey. But I've always had this other awareness inside of me. So in parallel, I got trained as a yoga teacher, I went to Vipassana, went to lots of ashrams and retreats, because I sort of always knew that there is more, but I wanted to find words and I wanted to find legitimacy for something which I had a direct experience of. And I should say, continue to have a direct experience of, on and off, on and off. And we'll talk a little bit about that today, why it's on and off and what we can do to have it on more often rather than off. Because when it's on, then we are power, I am power, you are power, and all is power. And then it goes off, right? And sometimes in gradients. So that's my, that's my short introduction. Also, why I'm so drawn to do this work, and truly honored to that our, paths crossed with Subba. So there is, I would say, there's a lot of alignment. There's also a lot of complementary experience that we can bring. And we do bring to this intention. The synchronicities since we started talking in terms of even choosing this theme have been amazing. So for me, it's just been signs from the universe. This morning, the universe facilitated me one step further. And I told Subba this before the call, in my own journey of reclaiming power, right? Because it's like, hey, we're going to do this call and invite other people. The universe says, let's facilitate you some more. Let's get you ready. So thank you. So deep gratitude for each one of you showing up, because we're all instruments and channels in each other, awakening more and more in our own journey of reclaiming power. So with that introduction, now I will hand it back to Subba, who will guide us through the next step.
Thank you, Ramya. And I wanted to do this very short practice. And through this, I wanted you all to become aware of the power that lies within. The metaphor I use is that of a hydroelectric power station. And the reason why I use that metaphor is that visualize a fast flowing, raging river coming into that hydroelectric station. And as that water passes at that high speed and power, the station then converts that into power that we use in our offices, in our homes. In fact, the fact that we are connected this way is thanks to some of that power which has been generated. The fact that we have the light to be able to take in that knowledge in these days and time without just a lamp is also thanks to that power which is generated in various ways. Whether it's through wind, through ocean, through the water, there are varieties of ways in which this power is being generated, right? Not to miss the solar or the gas through which this is generated. So it's about harnessing that power, that lower power, into something which is much higher, which is much more focused. So all of us experience a variety of emotions, and we label those to be negative emotions. I, for one, am very averse to naming things as positive or negative, because it's a lot associated with how we see that and how we associate with them, what we label them. So, as I was going through this, and I've been working with this philosophy and this practice for a while, I also happened to read a book called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he refers to some of this in one of his practices too. It's a nice book. It's worth for us to read. It's a fast-paced read that you can do that. So today we're going to do that practice. I just want you to experience and touch that practice and see how you can convert that power from a lower level energy to a very high level energy, which will help you focus and bring that power into the world, into your life, and into your work. So let's begin. Wherever you are, however you're seated, it doesn't matter. I recommend for eyes to be closed only so that you're able to cut out other sensory distractions, if you will, and you're able to focus your mind entirely on what we're about to do. we just take a few moments to focus ourselves and bring ourselves, center ourselves using our breath, inhaling and exhaling at our own pace without having to control the breath, just allowing it to flow naturally. In and out from the abdomen all the way to the top of the head and back down. Relax your neck and shoulders. Point your chin slightly downwards. In this moment, become aware of the dominant emotions that you experience. Maybe today, maybe the last 7 days, maybe the last month, maybe even all the way from January up until today. Let's focus on the lower level energy, the lower level emotions. Fear, anxiety, could be anger, could be frustration, whatever comes up for you, just become aware of it without feeling the need to qualify it as good or bad, right or wrong. Allow that energy and that power to grow by giving it focus and attention. We drop any block of fear towards those energies. It may be towards a particular person, a particular event, a particular situation. It doesn't matter. It is just an energy. Slowly, use the power of love to elevate that energy to your heart. As the energy rises, allow it to be transformed into something meaningful towards yourself or towards the world. without having to use your mind. Allow the transformation to happen naturally. Focus now on the center of your chest and allow that energy to blossom. In whatever form it shows up, embrace it. Whatever meaning shows up for you, accept it. Allow that to grow in your heart at the center of your chest. Allow this meaning, this energy, this blossom to be touched by knowledge, by your knowing, by your intellect, and allow that to rise into the space between your eyebrows. In this moment, allow that energy to manifest as a single word, as a single intention. A single action, a single word to be spoken, spoken to yourself or to the world, an action you need to take for yourself or the world, an awareness you need to hold, or an intention you need to hold for yourself or the world. Allow that one word, one action, one intention, one thought to take seed inside you, in your mind, and notice how that power, that lower energy, has transformed into your highest. We take a few conscious breaths as we continue to allow that intention, awareness, thought, word to take seed inside us. A manifestation of love and knowledge for us to be better present, for ourselves in the world, for our power, our inner power and energy to be manifested meaningfully for the world and for ourselves. Whenever we feel ready, we gently open our eyes into our palms, spend a moment in conscious awareness before we come back into a new world, a new self in a new world. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I hope you feel the power. Mansi, Lakshmi, Sapna. This transformation can be very powerful. The lower energies often block us from allowing that highest version in ourselves to come up and be present in the world. And it's just repeatedly being able to do this in the moment when our lower energies are manifesting is what is so important. Thank you, Sampa. You're always there. Thank you. Just love to have your presence. Ramya.
Thank you, Subba. Thank you. It was so beautiful. I almost don't want to break the trance.
Just,
But if everyone's out of the trance, let's begin to dance. So I wanted to share this quote with you. And would you believe it? Can people see my screen? Just give me a thumbs up if you can. Okay. So would you believe it? I got this quote today morning, when I was preparing for the session, and I loved it. So I'm just going to read it out to all of you. And it is by a saint. So her name is Hildegard Bingen, and I didn't even know about her before. So I am going to look her up now, but this is a very new gift in my life, and I'm so honored to share it with all of you. And I know that it came for this session. So this is what she writes in her book, in her writings. I, the fiery life of divine essence, am a flame beyond the beauty of the meadows. I gleam in the waters and I burn in the sun, moon, and stars. I awaken everything to life. I heard this and I was, this is power. And I am power. And you are power. And each one of us is power. So what I would now like to talk a bit about is, yes, that's the theory. We are power, and we've heard it many times before. But the journey that we are on, the journey that Subba and I have put together, and what we want to invite each one of you to is to know it. So theoretically, we can know it, but even experientially, start knowing it more and more and more so we don't forget it. That's step one. Then own it, and then be it. And that's what Subba has been talking about. And that's why I'm here as well. So how do we be it? We be it by bringing our gifts to the world, in our work, in our service, in our dharma, in whatever it is that we want to do. And that's why, this is also about leaders and leadership. So we want you to act it. Step one, of course, is know it. What I'd like to sort of, go through is now sources of our resistance. And this is an analogy that, again, it clicked in my mind just today morning. And this is funny, right? Because we're talking about something that we cannot express in words. And yet we have to use words to communicate. And that's where all our mental models sometimes help us. Even our education helps us. And I was just, Subba and I, we are from the same institute, IIM Madras, we're alumni, but I realized I never asked him what his branch was. And today I asked him when he told me about the hydraulic analogy. We learned that in mechanical, and I'm electrical and electronics. And this popped into my head. So, how do we look? So everyone knows we use power in electricity. And then there's resistance and there's current, right? When the resistance is more, it's going to let in less current. And when the resistance decreases, it's going to let in more current. So all good. Give me a thumbs up if everyone's good with this analogy. So we're going to, my husband came and peeped over my shoulder when I was making this slide. And he was like, you don't know the benefit of resistance. What would happen if the resistance went to zero? It's like, and then he's a mechanical engineer as well. So he was like, there's no friction. What would happen? Could we walk? Like, no, I know there's benefit of friction and there's benefit of resistance, right? We would just explore. So we're not even close to making our resistance zero, but the invitation is to make it less and less so that this current of the divine power that we have access to can actually flow more to us, through us, and then through our work back out to serve life itself. Yeah, so now, what is it that keeps us away? So I sort of just put everything that I think of into 3 categories. So the first category of our resistance to actually know our power, own our power, and be it as well, is in terms of fears. So we've all heard about the fear of success. Well, if I succeed, I'll be too big, I'll attract too much attention, people will be jealous of me, or how I do it, I have too much responsibility. So now think of it almost as a cascading, right? Fear of success, and then for each one of us, we'll have our unique manifestations of why we are afraid of success, depending on how we've defined success. Then fear of failure. Okay, so if I decide that I'm power, then I will take action and I will do things, and then what if I fail? Okay, and again, that has its different manifestations. Fear of being outcast. What if other people see me as, how dare you be this powerful, how big you are, how strange you are. Fear of outshining others. What if they feel bad? As human beings, we have this thing to for equalization. I don't want to make other people feel bad, so we'll all sort of dim it down, dumb it down, so that we're all in the equal level. And so we don't want to outshine, forgetting that we never actually outshine another person. We're all unique, so we're just shining in different colors. But our schooling and our parents and conditioning makes us feel that it's all linear. And therefore, if, we embrace our power, we might outshine and hurt our friends or siblings and other loved ones, okay? Then fear of annoying other people. Maybe they don't want to see us so active, so lit up, so bright, so energetic. Fear of betraying other people. Fear of making others upset, fear of the judgment that will come in. Who does she think she is? All of that. Fear of our own identity. Yeah, so some of us, I sometimes in workshops, I make people visualize their core self. And when they do that, they see such a grand version of themselves that they get scared. They're like, oh, this can't be me. I'm like, no, that this is you. Because the current identity gets threatened and shaken and saying, who am I? Am I really? Am I this? Am I light? Am I that expansive? Am I that powerful? And then the fear of not belonging, because this again comes back to, if everyone's like this and everyone's saying itna hi ho sakta hai, or, complaining, then I won't belong to this group, right? If everyone's complaining and everyone's being a victim and everyone's gossiping, then I need to speak that same language. Otherwise, I won't belong in this group anymore, or family or community, whatever, right? And so it goes on. So these are fears. That's one category. Give me a thumbs up if you're all good with this category. Yeah. Okay. So second category, and this is a programming, conditioning, gaslighting. For those of you who don't know what gaslighting is a form of conditioning that happens to us by people outside, sometimes, even close family members or people who sort of constantly tell us, you're like this, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you're afraid. And then we start believing it. So And this conditioning can happen intentionally, unintentionally. So as kids, we might have been told you're not good enough. We are told, in fact, who's not been told they're not good enough in something or the other. Or we've assumed, right? Sometimes the conditioning is because people have explicitly told it to us and we've bought it in. Sometimes we've just gone through certain experiences and we've inferred it for ourselves, right? Somebody else is getting the award and therefore I'm not good enough. No, I mean, not true. Somebody else got the award, or what has got nothing to do about you, but we infer and we tell ourselves I'm not good enough or I'm unworthy. And then there are all these gender stereotypes of girls can't be very powerful and not energetic. There's a whole bunch of conditioning around that, which is why we're doing this for women. There's the whole good girl syndrome, the good girl contract. Good girls aren't very bold, good girls aren't very loud, good girls don't display their power. So there's some unconditioning to do there for all of us, and we are all on the journey. I'm not even going to pretend that I have remove all the conditioning that's there on me. So just think of it like peeling onions, layers and layers and layers along that journey. The third category, and I really wanted to talk about this because it's important, and this is something I've realized in my own journey, and the current voltage electric analogy works really well here, is the capacity of our body and mind. And so in my journey, every time I've stepped up to own and claim and embrace a higher level of power, I've also realized, because I get into action mode and creation mode, I'm getting so many ideas, and you guys would have experienced that in your own life. You're getting magnetic, you're attracting more opportunities, so you're going into this overdrive action. And at that time, it's easy to get burnt out. It's easy to get overwhelmed, and it's easy for the body to give way. And this also happens if the body has toxins, and whose body doesn't have toxins, right? I mean, it's a constant journey of upgrading, healing, cleansing. And I mean, I've hit real proper burnout. If I don't listen to the subtle cues by my body, it just breaks down, and then I have to sort of, go. So it's really about getting that body along, because at the end of the day, now, if you think of it, this is actually, energy flows through us. We are the containers, right? So I am powered. I'm the source of power, but my body and my mind are the containers, the wires, the channels. They need to be upgraded. They need to be, kept well-maintained, nurtured, strengthened, building that capacity. Why mind? Same. When we step into greater levels of power, we're going to get lots of creative ideas, right? Lots of initiatives, and it's easy for the mind to explore. That's when we also need to train our mind. Mind training comes very, very, very useful to be able to contain that, to channel, to say yes, to say no, to put boundaries, to take steps, to pace ourselves out, all of that. Okay. So that is the capacity building. And that's also, it's actually going to connect very closely to why, at least I feel Bali's and the beautiful retreat that Subba and Renuka have in Bali is going to be a great place for us to do this. Because for me, part of upgrading, rewiring, grounding, and making my body, mind container ready, grounding, connecting with nature, earth has been a huge part of my own journey. In fact, I am one of those persons who sort of breaks. I can't take more than 2-3 days in a concrete place or in an AC room, literally because I so depend on the earth to ground myself and to ground my energies, and I need to be in nature. So I know people who can do it in other ways also, but for me, nature has been an easy option. So I've just been taking it, right? It works. So it works. There's enough nature everywhere. I just seek it out. I'm not saying there are other ways. There aren't other ways to, help our body and minds. Lastly, the other thing that, I did want to touch upon a bit was that this part, that a lot of us have beliefs and judgments and fears about the notion of power itself. So we've been conditioned and taught that, power corrupts, or power, some power seat, and power makes people evil, or power means manipulation, or power means control, or power means high and low. And all these notions that we have about the concept of power itself that sometimes makes us feel that, no, I don't want to do that. And so I'm not even embracing my power. I'll be this little thing. And I tell you, I've been there, done that. I'll be this little harmless thing out on the side because I'm afraid that if I step into power, I have seen my brain, when I say my brain has seen too many examples of people in the seat of power being exploitative, abusive, manipulative, and I'm scared. So I will just sit quietly here on the sideline. So that is the other and conditioning that we can do, and our invitation to all of you. Okay, yeah. So, Subba, is this, do you want to add to any of this? Or is this a good time to go through what we are going to be doing, how we're going to be doing all of this, and how we can do?
I think it's good that we've presented two processes, if you will, that we will explore in a lot more detail when we are there. And one of the things that came to me, Ramya, as you were speaking is, and it's a lot to do with the way I was also guiding the meditation as it came to me, was that our association with the word power is where the challenge is. If we can make that power a force for good rather than a force for something else, then sure, Richa, that is what is the shift that we are talking about. How to make that a force for something which is impactful, meaningful, in a way which can be used productively for ourselves and for the world. So that's what came to me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. So let's do, before we just move to the next step, let's do a quick, maybe use the chat window, everyone, and just given one word or one phrase, let us know how you're feeling now. What are your thoughts about power? Do you see it as an invitation? How does power make you feel? Just want to touch base with where we are before we sort of go further.
Post something, say something quick.
Hi, I think this is resonating very well. Thank you so much, Subba, for an amazing meditation. And actually, the theme for me for this year is stepping into my power. This is really aligning well. And you started with the word awake. So actually, I set the intention when you said pick up one word. It was to awaken to my spirituality, and spiritual awakening was my intention. So it's very aligned for me.
So beautiful.
I think, yeah, whatever we went through, the limitations or the resistances to power, I think they are very, very relevant. And I think in most of the movies and mostly we see around is more abuse of power. So the societal narrative around power is, that power corrupts, and the more power corrupts, the more power, then more corruption. We had this kind of a saying in our school, actually, in fill in the blanks also it was asked, so I categorically remember
Absolute
it.
power corrupts. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was like, oh my God. And I think with women, it's completely, like, I think sorry to say this, but patriarchal system is running a manner that a woman to make sure that she does not step into her power. So yeah, I think this is a very, very important point, and people need to also understand what is genuine power. Power is not about my hierarchical position in the society, right? The general narrative about power is also how much status, wealth. So I think authentic power. Gary Zukav also talk about authentic power. I've been following him a lot. So
One of my favorite teachers. Yeah, go on.
I've been really deeply inspired by him. Actually, I grew up with a lot of childhood trauma wherein my father abused his power over me and used to like kind of, a lot of beatings and domestic violence. So even I used to feel that, that is how power is corrupt. And, all of those kinds of things had got built up. But in my healing journey, I started to discover what is, and I have felt the most powerless in my life. Like that sense of inadequacy and powerlessness, I have really felt it. So I had to work through a lot to step into my power. And I think I've just started my business, last month. So, it's really the greatest step for me towards stepping into my power. So I think it's a great initiative. Many congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Richa.
Thank you, Richa. And just So beautiful. I'm just going through the comments. So Jyoti writes, feeling connected with what's being said. Amrita says, intrigued. Intrigued is great, right? That's the purpose of today. Absolutely. Mansi says, I usually associate power with strength, but an insight I get today is that power can also be being present in order to be the best version of yourself in the current state. Absolutely, Mansi. How beautiful, how beautiful. Mentally being me first and knowing the power to boost. Yes, Rekha. Yes. Richa, Sapna. Yeah. Yes, Richa, more power to you. Absolutely. Okay.
I'd like to add just one thing. Power to me feels like a channel through which we can create an impact.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And more power to each one of you, right? So the more we embrace our power, the greater the impact we can create. And that's literally why we are doing this, right? As opposed to the idea that I am power for the sake of my ego. So I feel like a king and I feel like I can control everyone. Completely the opposite. I want to embrace power so that I can serve everyone. And I think that's what Sapna says by channel, right? Do you see? It's not like I'm not sitting on top and ruling everyone out of power. That's the popular narrative, but rather I'm becoming a powerful channel and then I'm serving everyone.
That's right.
Benefit.
So I wanted to take on Richa's question. I know this is not Q&A time, but it's so relevant. You said self-confidence, Richa. And to me,
Yes.
this is such an important part of the work that I do and why I chose to do this work and my mission. I feel most of the choices people make in the world, and I was sharing this with Mansi because I was lucky to meet her and her family yesterday, that for me, most of the choices we make are based on insecurity, are based on self-doubt, are based on trying to be someone else, trying to be like our neighbor, trying to be, as an organization, trying to be like our competitor, trying to be better than someone next door or the someone across the street. Well, the organizations behave the same way because we want to be better than competition. Why can't, as a collective, as an organization, is also a human, be the best version of itself and therefore be highly impactful and meaningful in the work that it does, just like a human can. And this is the source of burning out the world and burning out its resources and burning ourselves out. And this is why it's so important. When I am confident of who I am and the power I have within me and how I can meaningfully bring it to the world and create an impact, I am confident. I know it and I can be it. And this is so important, that question of yours, because that is the root of all the issues.
Very true. Very true.
So I was also reflecting on over this, and I feel that power is being comfortable with yourself. So we always say, right, be yourself. But again, if we talk about drivers of, I think along with insecurity, there's the desire to belong, to prove ourselves. So wherever we go, it's right. I want to be, and again, we talk about stereotyping, and she talked about resistance, things like we want to conform, we want to belong, we want to, we don't want to outshine at the end of the day. This also happens. Like I could relate to all those things. We just part to, because of our conditioning, we just want to be part of a group. So, so being comfortable with yourself, it's very easy to say. These 4 words are very easy to say. But when you are in, group settings, or you are in settings where you have, you are thinking that, okay, you feel that people around have higher power than you. And when you start comparing and feeling insecure, etc., that's where that whole drills comes in.
Thank you, Prachi. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Should we move forward?
Yeah, Subba, will you share the screen?
Yeah. Thanks all so much for this. I think it's just the beginning. There's so much. I just love this conversation. So, Ramya, over to you.
So we just wanted to let you know how we propose to Subba, if you can just scroll a bit down, down so we can see the first part. Yeah. So, how we've planned. So we've planned a 5-day retreat, and yeah, we thought we wanted to do it shorter, but there is just so much to do. Like, I think even 5 days is too less. But part of the reason we wanted to, like, we don't want to make it less than 5 days is because we don't want it to be this cognitive. It's not just about knowing, right? It's knowing, owning, being. And remember the last part about the body mind, preparing the container enough so that we don't get burnt out, overwhelmed, and literally it's like we're not short circuiting our own, cells and capacity. So we're going to actually integrate, we're going to disentangle. So how do we get rid of conditioning? Of course, we'll do dialogue, reflection. We'll start the process of unconditioning. We'll start the process of reframing the notion of power itself. But along with that, we will be doing body movement, yoga, meditation, preparing the container. Actually, it works really beautifully when you combine the cognitive practices with the energetic practices and the breath work and the immersion in nature. So, we have that picture because so the retreat, and Subba will tell us more about the location. So we have access to waterfalls, we have access to beaches. And I know there's one way to think of them as tourist spots, but there's also another way to think of them as sacred water, moving, flowing, cleansing, connecting us, right, with the flow of the water to the earth. So I mean, nature is temple for me, and just wanted to let you know that's all part of what we've put together. So it is an invitation to remember who we already are, and I truly believe this. I know this. And I know this not just about myself, but I know it truly, deeply, completely about each one of you. So I mean, again, maybe it's because of my near death. I don't know why, because I don't have a doubt. I just know that we are all limitless, infinite potential and energy. Full stop. Like there isn't a doubt. That knowing is there. I'm going to invite each one of you to as much as possible to tap into the vibration of that knowing and have and embrace and claim that knowing for yourself. And then with that, now also the self-confidence that you talked about, and deciding how to channel it and what to use it for and how to serve the world for it. So that is what we're, a brief overview. Subba, do you want to do the next part?
Thank you. Of course, I'll carry on with this, but just wanted to say that this waterfall is a private waterfall, and we will not take you to any tourist spots. We will only take you to places where tourists don't go, because between Renuka and me, we've been in Bali for 2 decades, and we know every place that people don't go to, but are just so amazing. Yeah, this is the place with actually 3 waterfalls. Just go ahead. Yeah. So, if you are someone who's processing questions, and it is either you are in business, just like what Richa was saying now, and saying you want to discover and lead with your highest potential that business that you are in, or whether in life or work you feel that you're stuck and you want a breakthrough. That's exactly how I felt when I got onto my first silent retreat in 2004. And you want to just get out of the space that you're in and want to have that power unleashed, and you know that, but you don't know how to make that power come out. So if any of these is something that you're processing, and this is the retreat for you to come, because this is the exact piece of work that we're going to do. Help you discover what is extraordinary. I believe that every one of you is a superhero waiting to be unleashed on the world. And some of you know it already, but this whole idea of how can then I be it, that's the process. Either if you don't know it, we'll help you discover that through this process. And if you already know it, then how to be it. And converting that power to action is something that will be integral to how we are present for all of you through this process. So it will be inner work. That this is something that I believe very strongly in. You can't just solve it in the mind if the mind is not at the right level. So you need to do that inner work to help that inner energy come out and elevate your mind. And with that, you will get much higher answers. Otherwise, the quality of the answers you get by simply working with frameworks will be of a lower level quality. And that's the reason why inner work is required to be combined. And the power of nature to elevate is just so amazing. So where we are going to be placed, and talk about it in a bit, will help elevate all of your being into that and the places that you're going to go to. Ramya?
Yeah. So these are some of the things that we envision and I trust. So in fact, when Subba and I were putting together the content, the way we did this, and this is how I design all my workshops, I asked him first, close your eyes and describe a participant leaving, finishing our workshop and going back. How do you see her? How do you want to feel? What? And he visioned it and I visioned it. And then we reverse engineered. Okay, in order to feel that way, in order to be that way, what is the process that we should have taken people through? So we envision you going back connected, not just to the power to connect within you, but also to other women. So this is so important because, in our human journeys, there's this journey of, this sounds like math, but bear with me, differentiation and integration. I do love maths also. So differentiation is this part of understanding our unique strengths, our uniqueness, embracing all of that, our superpowers, knowing ourselves, being ourselves. Yes. And to do that, we need to break out of the conformity and the traps and the judgments and the need for belonging, need for validation, need for approval, all of that. That's step one. Step two is integration, integrating back into this lovely network of oneness that we all are. So that's where the connection comes in. Okay, so we're going to look at both integration and differentiation as well as integration. So that's the connected feeling, empowered. Of course, it's all about powers. I want you to envision feeling empowered. Every cell of your body, every cell of your being, elevated, sparkling with the light of self-trust, knowing your own beauty, knowing your own power, knowing your own light, being your own light, which I guarantee you are. And definitely re-energized. I just want to say something strange here. So I also teach at a management college and I've been doing lots of corporate workshops. I still do that. That's like 50% of my work. And they're always asking me to do sessions on. So one of the programs that I do for the corporate world is manage your energy, not your time, because, they're doing their time management and there's still more to do. And then how do you manage your energy? And you manage your energy. Let's go back to physics. You get your power, you tap into the right sources of power, you know how to use it, your energy is in place, right? So yes, you're going to absolutely feel more re-energized, more in control of your energy also, because I think it's just not just about having access to infinite energy, but being able to channel and use it and not using it against ourselves. If you see children, they eat the same thing, like children below the age of 4. They're so energetic, right? Because they don't have a lot of this other stuff that we have, where we then turn that energy against ourselves instead of just on the slide and the jhula and the play. So that is something you're going to explore as well. Subba, do you want to take the... And Subba's now going to take us through the retreat. And Subba, you can scroll, but I just want to tell you something, the way I see this retreat. And when I learned about it and I read about Renuka's journey, Renuka is Subba's wife. So of creating and building this retreat, I see it as a very, very, very sacred journey and sacred place. But I will let Subba tell you more about it.
So we started on this journey, thank you for that, Ramya, way back in 2011. And it is just magical that this whole place has been created entirely through serendipity. We found the land serendipitously. We found the architect serendipitously. But the concept we created very consciously. We said at that point of time that we want to have a space which is truly integrated with nature, that everywhere you go, you should be able to be touched by nature. And I joke about this, Bali is a place of paintings, especially Ubud, where we are, which was rated the world's #1 place by tourists. But I said the only painting we have all around is nature. We have no paintings otherwise. So, and it's the sound of water and the picture of nature that you'll be immersed in wherever you go at a retreat center. And we're very fortunate that we were able to get some amazing people. And those people who work with us, 70% of them are from the local village. So we believe that the space should be run in a manner which is sustainable socially also. And they have, between all of them, run close to 100 retreats too so far. They've facilitated 100 retreats. So they create the perfect experience for the guests. We recycle our water, recycle our waste. We use solar. We have very low carbon footprint. We don't use plastic. So we're very conscious about all of those things. And the place energy, in the speaking of energy and power, has been conserved right from the beginning of the space, right? We work very hard on making sure that the energy of the space is at the highest. We are about 10 minutes walk from a 10th century temple in the rainforest with 11 springs. We are around a 20-minute drive from private waterfalls. And every morning when you wake up, you can see the sunrise over Bali's tallest volcano, Mount Agung. So that's the space you'll be on, and every meeting we hold will be in a place which is surrounded by nature. You will get fresh food every day, freshly cooked food rather, made from fresh ingredients every day. So the body, the container, which Ramya speaks just about, she was speaking about it now, will be nourished during the time that you're with us. We start every day with a detox juice and then have nourishing food every day, which is freshly cooked. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that that is so important. A part of the experience yesterday, I was with someone who said, it is so important for me to get out and get into the right space for me to be able to elevate my energy. So nature can do things that we can never do otherwise. Thank you, Ramya.
Thank you. Thank you, Subba. So we'll open for any more questions that you might have about the topic, about the exercise we did today, the resistances, about the retreat. If you want to know more, we will put a link to, or you can just look us up, write to any one of us or look us up for the, or we'll send email out with.
Send it to everyone. Yeah, we'll send it to everybody who's registered. If you've not registered, please put in your email. I'm going to just put in an email address here. Just drop that, your email address to this, so that we make sure that we send you the recording and also more details on this.
Okay, and we're open for questions. Sharings, we'd love to hear your sharings as well. I mean, yeah, I mean, we can also close. We are done with the 1 hour, but happy to take any questions or sharings before we close.
Sapna?
Yes. So thank you so much, both of you. Ramya, pleasure to see you again.
Thank you.
And I found the meditation very powerful. I know when my energy shifts, and there have been multiple energy shifts during the meditation, so I found that extremely liberating. And thank you for taking us through what lies ahead in form of retreat. Ramya, I'll connect with you separately and see if this works out. But yes, I would like to congratulate you and more power to you. And I see this as an impact creating avenue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sapna. Thank you.
Hi. Hi, Dr. Ramya and Subba. Thank you very much. This was very interesting session, and learned a lot about both of your journeys in your lives. Thank you for that. And I was just wondering the energy transition, the channeling, what you were mentioning, does that has to do something with the chakras, right? The human body chakras and the energy level associated with the chakras. So, do you try to connect with that, or this is something different?
Uh,
Subba,
yeah,
you
thank you for that. Should I just call you Jyoti, or do you like to call me Jyotirmai? Uh,
Uh, Jyotirmai, thank you.
Jyotirmai, thank you.
Yeah.
So Jyotirmai, the thing about the process that we did was very closely associated with the chakras. But today we had a very brief time. We had 10 minutes to work with it, and I just wanted all of you to kind of be touched by the experience. But when you come to the retreat, we'll do much deeper work. But yes, it is associated with the chakras. So the energy held in the lower level chakras are more physical in nature and more emotional in nature. And how do we convert that into higher energies? That's the work that we'll be doing. But
Yeah.
we'll use different techniques for that. We'll use breath, we'll use mind, we'll use the body, and we'll use all of that to get that energy to a much higher state.
Yeah.
Got
And
it. Thank
if I
you.
may just add, Jyoti, chakras, they're almost like you can think of them as walls, or you can think of them as literally like these, like almost like capacitors. So in some ways, they're also protecting us to not have a surge of energy at times and places of our body. And, there's more than the body, our energetic body, when it's not ready. So it's like, that's why, the clearing of the chakras and the opening of the chakras and all of that, it's like an organic process, but it can also be orchestrated. And I think that's where breath work and inner work, and Subha will be leading us through some beautiful practices to really help us do that in a gentle, safe, step-by-step way. And the journey will continue. So 5 days, there will be transformation, and then you will know what you can continue, how you can continue to work with your chakras.
Unfortunately, we'll not be able to make it this time, but looking forward to that in future. So, is there any resource or anything that I can access to try myself to at least feel a little bit of that?
There are lots of resources. Now, I drop me an email and I will share with you with disclaimers, right? Because I also want you to learn in a way that you don't have to learn from us, but learn from a teacher who can also guide you and be with you rather than just from a book. I'm not saying it's possible, but again, we will, so yeah. So
Jyotirmay, I also run meditations every week, every Sunday at 6:30 India time, and I'm happy to post the link here. Uh, you can also reach out to me, and I'll post. In fact, that will be easier for you to reach out to me, and I will send you the necessary links for that. They are free meditations, and there are some which will help. But from there, if you feel connected with that, then you'll be able to. I'll be able to guide you to some other resources.
yeah, I
Thank you.
think
That
that's
that
great
should be.
actually. Yeah, just start attending Subha's meditations first and get more hands-on experience, and then get to.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
I also
anyone else who wants to be part of Subha's Sunday night meditations, he's so regular. He does it every Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m. IST. Do let him know. So these are free sessions, and just
So if you just look at this link and register there, you'll be able to you'll get the notification. Mansi was there for the first meditation this week. So I also want to just add on to Ramya's point on why we do the 5 days. Because when we do 5 days, we have the first day when you all arrive and the last day when you all leave. And we get 3 full days of work. Actually, we get only 3 full days of work. So it is required. Otherwise, you're going to get 2 days. It's just too short.
I have a question. Will we be doing any inner child healing work? So, what will be the modalities we will be using, and what kind of a transformation can one expect?
Yeah, so we will be using a mix of multiple modalities, and inner child will be, but even within inner child healing, there are schools and schools and schools and different ways of accessing it. So Subba and I will be taking you through the, techniques that we find the most useful and which we can use. So what I currently use, I've been like sort of binge learning on, Reiki and pranic healing and hypnosis and EFT and access consciousness and a bunch of different techniques. And what I do currently is, and I've sort of pulled from all of these, and this whole thing of trying to create the maximum shift in the least amount of time, but without sort of putting anyone at risk and without sacrificing on the intensity of it. So yes, we will be visiting the inner child, but if you ask me, will you name the exact modality? I will not, because right now the only word I can say is Ramya modality, because I've learned and drawn and integrated from so many teachers and so many places. And that's owning my unique capacity to gift and facilitate change, which I've stepped up to. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful. You intuitively use what you feel is best. Yeah.
So Richa, we'll speak with you, we'll connect with you, and as we speak to the participants, we'll come up with what is appropriate and relevant, and for each of you, because there's no retreat which is the same as another retreat. So we don't come with a set piece and just deliver a set piece. It is relevant to the people who sign up for it, and we connect with you both by speaking and also, when you are there, and then we will adjust and kind of work with the energy that you've come with and make sure that you leave with something which is much more elevated.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to ask this one more question, that I'm just doing this research. So what is self-confidence according to you? And if there's any way that we can how to be confident, what is your view on this topic?
Do you want to cover that now, Ramya?
Yeah, I'll give you a very short answer. So as of today, the way I see it is self-confidence is just being me. Full stop. Like just being me, right? Just and owning and embracing that completely. And from the being, the doing flows. So I mean, if you go into the corporate world or somewhere, it's like, okay, how do you walk? How do you talk? How do you speak? It's all on the doing. But now for me, it's being, just being, and being what? Being me, because confidently I can be me. I can't be my dog Zara, who's now banging on the door, right? She can be Zara, I can be me. And from being me, I will do whatever I can to the best of my ability. And I'm confident about doing that. That's self-confidence.
Thank you so much.
And knowing that in being yourself, you can actually be the best version of the gift, the service, the facilitator, all of that, the contributor that you can be to the world, rather than by being someone else or doing someone else's work, right? So I'll take that same modality example, right? So I can do Ramya work the best, rather than access consciousness or Reiki or pranic healing or Louise Hay meditation, because they can do their work. I can do my work. So that is self-confidence.
Lovely, really like the definition. That's wonderful.
I'll also, when we meet, share with you a framework that you can use, a process that you can use to discover what is extraordinary.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the session. We are really grateful. We'll reach out in case we are able to make it. Otherwise, it was wonderful, listening to you guys.
Thank you, Praj.
Thank you for showing up. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Shall we wind up for the day?
Yeah.
Okay. Stay energized, stay powerful, and we'll see you all soon. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Hello.
Say hi. Want to say hi? He was around. That's the reason I couldn't turn on video initially, because he was playing piano and running here and there. So I didn't want others to get distracted.